Ever wonder if your memory is lying to you? We're about to find out, using a bucket of ice water and a classic psychology experiment. We asked people to put their hand into this freezing water for a period of time. We didn't tell them. While their hand was submerged, they rated their discomfort on a dial. As you can imagine, it wasn't fun. We heard everything from can't feel my fingers and stinging to just pain. Here's the catch. Each person did this twice, once with each hand. But what they didn't know is that the two trials were different. One was a short, intensely cold experience for 60 seconds. The other trial was longer, lasting 90 seconds. For the extra 30 seconds, we secretly made the water asterisk slightly asterisk warmer. It was still uncomfortable, just a tiny bit less so. After they had experienced both, we asked them a simple question. If you had to do one of these again, which would you choose? You'd think everyone would choose the shorter 60-second trial, right? Less time and pain seems like an obvious choice. But that's not what happened. A majority of our participants, just like in the original 1993 study by Nobel laureate Daniel Kahneman, chose the longer trial. They chose to endure more pain overall. This seems completely irrational, but it reveals something profound about how our minds work. It turns out we have two different selves experiencing the world. There's the experiencing self, which lives in the moment and feels every second of that icy water. If you asked this self, it would want out immediately. But then there's the remembering self. This is the part of you that looks back and tells the story of what happened. And for the remembering self, the length of the experience doesn't matter nearly as much. This is a phenomenon called duration neglect. Think about your last vacation. A 2008 study found that the length of a vacation had almost no impact on how fondly people remembered it. A 1-week trip could be remembered just as positively as a 2-week one. So if duration doesn't matter, what does? Our memories don't work like video cameras, recording everything. They're more like photo albums, capturing a few key snapshots. Our remembering self focuses on the most intense moments that piquant how the experience ended. This is the piquant rule. In our ice water experiment, both trials had the same painful peak. But the longer trial had a better ending. That slight warming of the water, even though it was still cold, created a memory of improvement. The discomfort was decreasing. The remembering self holds on to that less painful ending and judges the entire experience more favorably, even though it lasted longer. This isn't just about ice water. It affects how we remember everything. A trip to the dentist, a difficult project at work, or even watching a movie. An otherwise great film with a disappointing ending can leave a sour taste in our mouths. While a challenging hike that ends with a breathtaking view becomes a cherished memory. This shortcut, where we judge an entire experience based on a few key moments, is a type of mental shortcut called the representativeness heuristic. Our brains use these shortcuts to make quick judgments, but sometimes they lead us astray. Consider the famous Linda problem created by Kahneman. Linda's 31, single, outspoken, and very bright. She was a philosophy major and deeply concerned with social justice. Now, which is more probable? A. Linda is a bank teller, or B. Linda is a bank teller who is active in the feminist movement. Most people choose B. The description of Linda asterisk feels asterisk more representative of a feminist bank teller than just a bank teller. But logically, it's impossible. The group of bank tellers who are active in the feminist movement is a smaller subset of the larger group of all bank tellers. So A is always more probable. Our intuition gets it wrong because we're drawn to the story that feels more representative. Our memories are powerful storytellers, but they aren't always accurate historians. They prioritize the peaks and the endings over the actual duration. It's a fascinating and sometimes a logical feature of the human mind. So, the next time you're looking back on an experience, ask yourself, are you remembering the whole film or just a few carefully selected photos? Bright. She majored in philosophy. As a student, she was deeply concerned with issues of discrimination and social justice, and she also participated in anti-nuclear demonstrations. So which is more probable? Linda is a bank teller, or Linda is a bank teller and is active in the feminist movement? The majority of people who are asked this question give the second answer, which makes sense because the description of Linda matches our mental model of a feminist. But mathematically, it must be more likely that she's a bank teller, because feminist bank teller is just a subset of bank teller. All feminist bank tellers are, by definition, bank tellers. Stephen Jay Gould said, "I know that the conjoint statement is least probable, yet a little homunculus in my head continues to jump up and down shouting at me, but she can't just be a bank teller. Read the description." The thing about the representativeness heuristic, like many heuristics, is that we fall for it, even if we are aware that we're falling for it. I mean, technically, eggplants, cucumbers, and avocados are all berries. But because they aren't small and sweet like strawberries or blueberries, we don't think of them as berries. An eggplant does not match my preconceived idea of a berry. So even though I know it's technically a berry, I'm going to keep calling it a vegetable. I mean, the salient feature of an eggplant is that I cook it like I would a vegetable. Also, annoyingly enough, a strawberry is not technically a berry. Botany is confusing. So the representativeness heuristic is why we think that Linda is more likely to be a feminist bank teller rather than just a bank teller. And why I can't bring myself to call an eggplant a berry. And representativeness is how the peak moments in our past come to represent entire experiences. But it's not the only thing that colors our perception of the past. Our brains better recall and therefore assign a greater importance to more recent events. This is known as recency bias. So if you were to list all the meals you had in the last week, it would be easier to recall the most recent ones. That's why how an experience ends plays an outsized role in how it's remembered. I mean, how many people are rewatching Game of Thrones right now, for example, compared to, say, Breaking Bad? I mean, the last season of Game of Thrones was so awful, I do unthink I'll ever watch any of it ever again. The end tainted my view of the whole thing. Wind whooshing, and it seems like that also applies when judging the quality of a life. In a 2001 study, researchers told a fictional story about Jen, a never-married woman without children. She's extremely happy. She has a job she enjoys, many close friends, goes on vacations, and has many fulfilling hobbies. Then she's hit by a car at the age of 30 and dies painlessly and instantly, taking her life as a whole. How desirable do you think Jen's life was? For the other half of participants, researchers told the same story about Jen, but added another 5 years to her life. Years that were pleasant, but maybe not quite as good as the first 30. Then they asked the same question, taking her life as a whole. How desirable do you think Jen's life was? And what they found was that people judged Jen's longer life to be less desirable. That living for those extra 5 good but not great years actually reduced the overall perceived quality of her life. The ending matters. They repeated this same story with a Jen that lives to age 60 compared to age 65, and the results were the same. Adding mildly pleasant years to a very positive life does not enhance it, but actually decreases the perception of the quality of this life. So when it comes to holding your hand in a bucket of cold water, your overall experience of the event boils down to 2 things: the peak and the end. Oh yeah, I find that painful. Can't believe people have been standing in front of us acting so tough. Both trials involved holding a hand in 14-degree water for the same duration. So presumably they created the same peak of discomfort. But the longer trial had a nicer ending. Discomfort is backing off. I mean, still uncomfortable, but not quite as uncomfortable, by adding a slightly less uncomfortable 30 seconds. Kahneman and Fredrickson were able to trick participants into remembering the experience more fondly. This is clearly a bad choice for the experiencing self, but a good choice for the remembering self. This might seem like an insignificant party trick, but it actually has huge implications for our lives. For example, if we remember a medical procedure like a visit to the dentist or a checkup more favorably, we're more likely to do it again, and that improves long-term health outcomes. At the end of their 1993 paper, Kahneman and Fredrickson ask, will a physician be allowed to add an interval of diminishing pain to the end of a medical procedure? If the sole benefit of the added pain is to cause the patients to retain a more favorable memory of it? In 2003, Kahneman did exactly that. Along with colleagues, he conducted a trial with 682 patients who underwent a colonoscopy. Half of them went through a normal routine procedure. The other half had an extra 3 minutes at the end of the procedure where the tip of the colonoscope was left in, but not moved. So it was uncomfortable, but less painful than the rest of the procedure. The patients who experienced the extra 3 minutes of discomfort at the end rated the whole experience as about 10% less unpleasant. They were also more likely to come back to do a follow-up screening procedure. The peak-end rule also appears in design for customer experiences. The cheap hot dogs at the exit of IKEA are an example. The positive experience of a cheap, tasty hot dog or ice cream cone leads to a better memory of the whole shopping experience. It's like a doctor giving a lollipop to a child after a checkup. Gentle music, knowing that this is how the brain creates memories, allows us to create better memories for ourselves. If you want to run more, don't do painful hill sprints at the end of your workout. Instead, maybe do a pleasant cool-down walk while you talk to a friend or listen to your favorite music. Want to create better memories of your vacations? Making it longer won't matter as much as creating exciting and novel days. Make sure there's a high-peak experience, and also end it with something pleasant. Are you quitting your job and want people to remember you fondly? Well, make sure you are extra nice to your colleagues during your last few weeks. In short, to create better memories, you should optimize for the peak and the end. So the best way to close out a YouTube video is, I guess, with a wholesome message. And why not footage of a cute dog playing with flowers? Celestial music, our mindset, plays a huge role in our perception of the environment. And while this makes some experiences seem more enjoyable, it can also cause us to see things as worse than they really are. But luckily, you can train your mind like a muscle to make meaningful improvements to your day-to-day life. And that's where today's sponsor, Headspace, comes in. Headspace is an all-in-one mental health guide that helps you strengthen your mindset and reach your goals through meditations, exercises, and personalized support. Now, you might be quick to dismiss meditation if you think it's all about taking deep breaths and sitting still for hours. But in reality, practicing mindfulness is different for everyone. There's no definitive way to meditate, and that's what I really like about Headspace. Whether it's guided meditation, stress release workouts, ASMR podcasts, or focused music, Headspace has something for everyone. And if you don't want to commit to a full course, they even have mini meditations and short stories. And all of their courses are created by experts and backed up by research. Multiple studies on Headspace found that using it for even a few days reduces irritability and stress while increasing focus and happiness. Feel free to check out those studies in the description. So if you're looking to improve your well-being and mindfulness, I highly recommend you check out Headspace. You can sign up by scanning this QR code or by clicking the link in the description. Make sure to use code VERITASIUM to get a 60-day free trial, so you have plenty of time to explore the app and see how Headspace might be beneficial for you. I want to thank Headspace for sponsoring this part of the video, and I want to thank you for watching.